All right. So we're here with a special guest, a good friend of the show, a good friend of ours, guy, Michael Foisy. He's the man, a.k.a. Pooh. You know what I'm saying? Say what's up to the people, brother.
How you guys doing?
We're here to talk about the big, huge UFC pay-per-view card that's coming up on Saturday.
Definitely.
Yeah, man, at UFC 259. We've been waiting a long time for one of these super cards with like multiple title fights and just a card that's stacked from bottom to top, brother.
Hell yeah!
And this is it. We got Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz in the main event for the light heavyweight title. You got Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson for the women's featherweight title. Amanda Nunes, who is, I should note, double champ. She's also the champion of the 135 division. And the rest of the card is stacked. We're definitely going to go over those, but let's talk about those first three crazy title fights, man. What do you think about those?
Well, the least one I know about is Petr Yan.
Yeah.
The only fight I've seen of his is actually the Aldo fight.
Okay.
And from what I got from that, he's got hella hands. Great boxing. Real tight, precise, accurate. He's quick on his feet. Good reactions. Good head movement. And right? Longo and Sarah.
Yep.
I've probably seen about 4 or 5 of his fights. He's great jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah, he's good at taking guys down, and once they're on the ground, he's not letting you go.
And he's good with the head movement just to get inside for that quick one shot, just to disorient, just for the takedown. So
yeah,
if he's good at that instep with any shot and gets a hold of that guy, I don't know how good Jan's takedown defense is, but I know if he gets on top, he's pretty much releasing those ground and pound strikes pretty damn quick. So if Sterling's good enough to control that, lock him into his guard, and start working for them submissions or try to get back up, then that should be an interesting fight.
So what I was saying was, Aljamain Sterling's last victory was he choked Corey Sandhagen out in I think 60 seconds, dude. Like you said, he got right to him, closed that gap, got under him, got him down, got on his back like a freaking backpack, and next thing you know, this guy's tapping. He didn't even know what hit him. And we both know how good Corey Sandhagen is. He's right there, if not the number one contender after Aljo. So
and Sterling, at first, it looked like he didn't even need to sink under the jaw for that choke. He was about to crush his jaw and make him tap.
Yeah, right over the jawline. So that's a nasty vice grip. So that's a good fight. So let's talk about the women's title fight. Amanda Nunes.
Okay.
You think she gets it done? The Lioness. She's been running through everyone ever since she dethroned Miesha Tate. She destroyed Holly Holm. Then she destroyed Ronda Rousey. That's what really sold me, was when she beat Cyborg and put her out cold. Yeah. I said, oh my God, this is the greatest female fighter I've ever seen in my life.
That's why I think this is definitely going to be a walk in the park for her.
You think?
Yeah, this girl has the size. She's long everywhere. Definitely be the biggest opponent she's ever faced.
She's very long, very tall.
She has that one punch knockout power. But also doesn't have experience with the big moment. And that usually plays a lot. Like, smaller promotions different from the UFC.
Okay,
it's a big step up, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. You have a point there. Because I was going to say, Megan Anderson, she's technically a former Invicta champion. Yeah. And she was the featherweight champion over there. She was their last featherweight champion, came over here. But if I recall, she did have a championship fight against Cyborg in the UFC, but she lost. I'm not sure if I'm 100% correct. I could be making that up.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember it either. I might just be making it up because that's how my brain works.
Cyborg did go against a very tall girl, but I don't think it was her.
It might have been. I don't know. Because I think when she first came, that was like, they didn't have anybody for Cyborg to fight at 45. And that's the whole reason they brought Megan in, was to have a challenger for her. But it could have been Holly Holm. And I might just be switching my thoughts around. But because I know she fought Holly Holm in her first fight. So, okay, well, so you think Amanda Nunes is going to do her thing and just continue her
path
of
I also
dominance?
don't think it's going to be a TKO. I think this is going to be a submission. Because
you think she's going to...
I know Nunes has a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, and I know with her fights with Shevchenko, she pretty much pussies out when she go against her when it comes to striking those very talented strikers.
She knows technically wise. Well. Yeah, you're right. When it's a technicality thing against your technique versus my technique, she has power and she has speed, but she doesn't have that Valentina Shevchenko Taekwondo kickboxing type of technique, which I agree with you. And Megan Anderson, she's got some good stand-up. She's tall and rangy.
Yeah, so since she's never gone against in the UFC for me to see anyone that much larger than her, because 5'8" to 6 feet is a huge gap.
Holly Holm, she defeated Holly Holm.
Isn't she 5'8"?
She's a little on the taller, lankier side, though. I mean, like body frame wise, she's the closest to Megan that she's fought. Megan's definitely the longest and tallest fighter of all the females. Like, she's like a giraffe.
That's like me trying to land a punch on you. That's very
impossible. You're like 5'2".
Okay, God bless. Here we go. Anyway.
All right. So you think Amanda's going to win that fight? I think Megan has a chance. She's been putting in some really good fights in the UFC. I just, like you said, I wouldn't say it's the big fight moment. I just don't think she has it to beat Amanda. I think she plays a very pitter-patter type of points game, and it's a lot of just touching and going and kind of just figuring out the fight as she goes along.
Yeah.
But I think the ferociousness and the velocity and the power that Amanda brings, like, it's a whole different beast. You know what I mean? When she's stepping across that cage towards you and she starts letting go of those overhands, man, it's just like watching Cyborg back in the day. Like, remember when Cyborg was coming up, we thought there was no female that could ever go in the cage with her because she was that dominant. And Amanda took that aura, and Amanda has been wearing it proudly.
Yeah. But submission, I feel like it rings the best for me because I feel like she's going to have trouble closing that distance with the length of her. And
it's definitely possible because her last fight with I forget the young girl's name, Felicia might.
That was the girl who choked her out, right?
Yes, exactly. She beat Megan to get the title shot against Amanda, but Amanda wasn't playing any of that game and just basically ground and pounded her for 5 whole rounds. You know what I mean? Amanda didn't really want to play the striking game with her. She just kind of wanted to play the dominant game. And so if she wants to wrestle a little bit more, I think your theory might be correct. She just gets her to the ground. She doesn't even bother with trying to stand and bang with her, and she might just look for some groundwork.
So gun to your head now, bro. Who are you going with on this one?
On that fight, gun to my head, absolutely I'm going with the champion, Amanda Nunes. Although I love me Megan Anderson and her tattoos.
So do I.
She's a beautiful lady.
I'm ready to see Nunes go.
I can't pick against Amanda. She's been way too dominant.
Yeah. So far we got one new champion and one retaining.
All right, possibly. And so in the main event, we have Israel Adesanya, undefeated in MMA at 20-0, moving up as the middleweight champion from 185 up to 205 to challenge the reigning and defending champion, Jan Blachowicz, which we can't really call him undisputed because the title that he won technically was vacant. So,
yes.
Yeah. So John Jones moved up to heavyweight. if you guys didn't know. And Israel Adesanya has been kind of playing this back and forth game with him in the media, talking crap. And now that he's left the division, all of a sudden Israel wants to move up into his division, take his title for bragging rights. And if Izzy wins this fight, Izzy will be the very first undefeated fighter to become champ.
Never viewed it that way.
That's a pretty every other fighter that became champ, they all had a defeat in their past. This guy will have GOAT status if he does what he's attempting to do on Saturday.
True. Hot take. I think Israel Adesanya gets knocked out in the first round.
All right.
Easy KO.
So listen, it's very, very possible. It's very possible. Jan Blachowicz is a scary Polish freaking hammer, man. This guy walks around with a bracelet of a dead man's noose. He found a dead body in the woods. A man hanging from a noose. He reported it to the authorities, and then he chopped off a piece of the rope and made it into a bracelet and carries it around for good luck. I'm sorry, but that's some Valhalla Viking shit. And, oh my God, you're going to have to kill that man to get him out of there.
Yeah, dude fights like he is the god of war. Oh my God.
He fights that way, and he hits that way. And did you... His championship victory against Dominic Reyes that's what opened my eyes to Jan Blachowicz. Because I first got my eyes opened when he knocked out Luke Rockhold.
Okay. Doesn't everyone knock out Luke Rockhold, though?
Facts. But it was Luke Rockhold moving up to 205, and Luke Rockhold was talking crap about fight John Jones, and then he's looking right past Jan, but Jan hits him with a little 1-2 shuffle hook and cracks his jaw in half, kills him, and then he fights Dominic Reyes, who gave John Jones a really, really good fight. And a lot of people actually thought Dom Reyes defeated John Jones for the title. But for him to go out there and completely destroy Dom Reyes on the feet, I remember the welt on
just
this guy.
Just from one kick.
The welt, you could see the whole footprint on his rib, and he just kept attacking it. Broke two of his ribs, smashed his nose, completely broke his nose in the match. Like, he completely destroyed Dom Reyes, and I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah. And that kick wasn't even a first strike targeted shot to the ribs. That was coming off a 3-punch combination.
Yep, it was coming off the rip as he was exiting, so he didn't expect it, so that's why it was hitting so hard, because you had no time to drop that elbow and block it or anything. It was very, very surprising with the ease that he did it.
Yeah. Last night I ended up watching that fight over, and I like to watch the fights of the fighters in the main event where they face their most adversity.
Yeah.
I ended up watching that fight, but for Izzy, I ended up watching the Kelvin Gastelum fight.
The Kelvin fight, yep.
Because Kelvin, he has, I think Rafael Cordero was the one training him for that fight, and he's probably one of the top striking coaches in MMA today. And that guy, he had Kevin's head movement going, body move, he was elusive. He made Israel Adesanya miss almost every strike in that first round. He popped him, he tagged him up, and it's everything that was landing on Izzy was a hook, a body kick, and a calf kick.
And that's everything that Blachowicz
is doing. He's all hooks, he's all kicks to the knees and the calves, and he blasts that kick to the body. And Izzy doesn't move out of the way of those kicks.
Nope.
He really doesn't. And this guy's kicks are so fast for such a dude. Looks like a fire plug.
Hey, look, he's 6'2". Kelvin was 5'8".
Yeah.
Look, so look at the damage Kelvin did to Izzy in that 5-round war. Like, there's a famous meme going around with Israel Adesanya's face right after all his recent fights.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And it's like his last 5 fights, he looks GQ ready, like he just got hopped out of the shower. But then the very last one, it says Kelvin, and his whole face looked like a balloon. because Kelvin put it on him.
Yes, he did.
In one of the fights of the year. So with that said, you think that's why Israel's going to get knocked out cold is because he got caught too many times by Kelvin, and Jan is just a bigger, better version of Kelvin.
I may have jumped the boat too early on that knockout hot take.
Hey, you were excited about it.
It's coming to me now that I'm thinking about it because Izzy definitely did some things against Costa.
Mm-hmm.
But Costa was also, they just surfaced that he was hungover.
No.
I don't know.
Get that out of here. I'm sorry. You don't wait 7 months after your loss.
Yeah.
To come out with an excuse. Come on now.
I mean, you don't want to ever come out with any excuse, but
yeah, he didn't smell like cigarettes and beer. Dominic Cruz, you just lost.
Yeah, but oh, that's another thing.
Shout out to Keith Peterson.
That dude, he's ballsy. But in that fight, even though he had all that cupping done to his legs, Costa apparently had something wrong with his legs. Izzy kept the distance in that first 2 rounds with just knee strikes, low calf kicks, thigh kicks, body kicks. Everything was push, roundhouse. He was just attacking the legs.
Yep.
And I also know
he hit him where he can hit him and not get hit. It was smart.
Exactly. And if you tear the legs up out of your opponent,
you have no power.
They're not
all the power
bursting
comes from your legs. Yeah, all the power from your shots, especially a big hitter like Costa. All that power comes from his thighs and his hips. And if he can't plant properly on his legs, if he can't twist as hard as he needs to for those big hooks, that's exactly what happens. He looked like a freaking he looked like a fish out of water in that fight.
Yep. It's just with Jan, I'm curious to see how big Izzy's legs can get for this weight class because he himself said he's going to be floating around 193 pounds for this fight.
He's not lying either. He's going to weigh in as you got to see it this way. He fights at 185.
Yep.
So his walking around weight on a daily basis is probably somewhere around 195, maybe 205 pounds, right? That's just his natural body weight. And he cuts maybe 10, 15 pounds to make the limit. So when it comes to him having to just simply move up to 205, he's not going to go out of his way like John Jones to put on 40 pounds of muscle because, you know what I mean? His whole game is speed. Izzy's whole game is movement. Izzy's whole technique is to be able to be light on his feet. So I think he's not lying when he says he's going to come in weighing maybe 195. It's his walk around weight. He's going to come in light. He's going to where he feels like he can still move because when he was a kickboxer, he technically was fighting heavyweight fighters, but he still was weighing in at 191 pounds at middleweight. He was just walking to the scale without actually having to cut the weight, but his opponents still have to cut weight. But for him, it's kind of an advantage where you can just kind of feel good. You don't have to deplete your body for those couple days before the fight. You can eat what you want and still feel like yourself. So it might be an advantage for him, but I can see where you're coming from is maybe he should put on a little extra poundage if you're going to be fighting bigger guys.
Well, now that you have him staying at his normal weight, being that his legs aren't really that huge and he wants to keep that speed and quickness about him, that means he's not going to be putting massive muscle on his legs because he wants to move quick. And my concern is Jan's legs are fucking huge. If Izzy is using his quickness just to tap up Jan's legs, is it even going to hurt Jan? It's going to feel like little mosquito bites are just nipping at his legs.
No. Paulo Costa's legs are fucking huge.
They didn't look that big there in the fight, man.
I can guarantee you it doesn't matter how large a man's thigh is.
Yeah.
When Izzy Adesanya chops 3 or 4 leg kicks directly to that side, and the proper technique the way he's supposed to, that big-ass balloon thigh is just going to be a big-ass fucking balloon that hurts now. And it's going to be hard to put weight on it. So it doesn't really matter how large a person's leg is. Like, look at this past weekend, we had a fight against Jimmy Rivera versus Pedro Munoz, right?
Okay.
Jimmy Rivera they're featherweights, they're smaller guys,
he's
but
real
he's a stocky guy. Like, he's very fit, very thick everywhere. And he got tore up with calf kicks from the start of that round one, all the way to round 3. And you could see, I know if you saw the fight, you saw how debilitating those freaking calf kicks were to Jimmy Rivera's movement. After 2 minutes of the first round, he could barely move. So,
but that's someone in his weight class.
They're in the same weight class.
You have Jan, who's probably like a 230-pound guy that cuts down to 205. So you're gonna have a 195 against a 230 guy.
Yes. Okay. Well, so that it doesn't compare that way. It's
and
still
when I
hurts.
see
What I'm trying to
Kelvin
say.
Gastelum, every time Izzy's going to kick them legs, he leaves his face wide open, and Kelvin's tagging him up in those kick moments. I see with Jan, when he's fighting Reyes, every time he throws a strike, he is lunging probably 4 to 5 feet with each strike.
Yep.
So if he puts one kick on Jan, he's blasting him with a hook immediately.
We'll see, man. This is why the fight game is so exciting, because everybody's got their opinions and everybody can assume what's going to happen in the fight, but we never know what's going to happen until it happens, man. And I can say, and I'm sure you can say, we've seen some crazy outcomes in the last 10 years of watching this sport, man.
I think history repeats itself on Saturday. That pay-per-view where GSP fought Bisping. We had 3 championship fights that night, did we not?
Yes, we did.
And every champion got dropped with a hook.
Yep.
I feel like everyone's getting dropped with a hook on Saturday night. They might not all finish, but I think Nunes is dropping that girl with a hook and choking her out. I think Sterling is going to drop Jan with a hook and choke him the hell out.
Oh, wow. That's a bold
And I just think Blachowicz is just going to take a leg kick and knock Izzy the hell out with a hook. It's all hooks on Saturday night.
All right, man. You called it. Everybody put your bets in. Foisy's calling it.
There you go.
If you make money, send him a couple bills, you know what I'm saying? Let's just talk about a couple of the other fights that are on the card, because like we said, this UFC 259 pay-per-view is stacked from top to bottom.
Yeah.
We also have Khabib Nurmagomedov's best friend and cousin and biggest prospect, Islam Makhachev, fighting at 155 pounds. He's 18-1. The only loss was a crappy choke, but he's real dominant. And everyone's talking about who should be the champion, who should get the title fight at 55, blah, blah. Should it be Dustin? Should it be Tony? Should it be Gaethje? Should it be Oliveira? And Khabib came out and said, how about we just pause this conversation until you guys see Islam this weekend? And then I guarantee you guys will be talking about Islam. Because
Khabib is 100% certain that is the second coming of him.
He's adamant about it. He's and even you got guys like Josh Thompson and Daniel Cormier that they co-signed that thought. Yo, this guy, Islam Makhachev, he's, if not just as good as Khabib in the gym.
Yes.
And he's pretty much his right-hand man ever since day one. And Khabib's just been teaching him everything he knows, and now it's his time to shine. So he's fighting Drew Dober, who is a UFC veteran. He's a really good fighter as well. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he gets past Islam. I think Islam is going to do the work.
Yeah. I don't know if you follow odds, but they have him pretty much winning with fair ease.
Yeah, what is he, negative 300, 400?
I think it's 335 right now. Negative.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense, man. It makes sense. he's one of those type of dominant fighters where it's like it's hard to pick against him because he's that good.
Yeah. Now, how about this guy going against Thiago Santos, that Brazilian Thor?
Yes.
I've never seen that guy fight, but I hear a lot of hype around him.
It's Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic. And Alexander Rakic came out of nowhere last year, and he beat a couple guys, and then he had a big showcase against Anthony Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, he fought Anthony Smith in a 5-round main event.
Okay.
And he actually ended up I believe it was Anthony Smith's last fight, and he actually he beat him pretty handily. Like, he out wrestled him, he outstruck him. He kind of played it safe and kind of wrestle humped him for the last round or two because he was kind of tired, and he just took him down and just kind of stayed in good position. But with that said, he beat Anthony Smith, former, we're talking about Dominic Reyes, former title challenger. Like, if you beat a guy like that, you kind of get their aura, you get their energy, you know what I mean? And so this guy's coming in after beating Anthony Smith, and now he's fighting the other guy who's a big name at 205, Thiago Santos, another guy who had a really good fight with John Jones, and another guy who's saying his leg was broken that whole fight with John Jones, and people still think he might have won. That's crazy. Imagine if he had 2 good knees that whole fight.
Yeah, 2 ACLs, both legs, I believe.
Both of them were popped, and he still was firing bombs at John.
They were hyperextending between every freaking break he took of striking.
Oh man, I remember that. I remember watching that fight. My friend Jimmy had money on John Jones winning by TKO.
Yeah,
and he saw how bad his legs were. He's like, John, just kick his legs. Just kick him. And he just wouldn't kick his legs for some reason, and John just took a 5-round decision.
Good sportsmanship.
But it was one of those things where if John just kicked him in the leg 3 or 4 times, he could have just won by TKO and made us some money.
Well, John's famous for that little teep straight into the knee. He loves hyperextending, so that probably would have snapped his skull.
I think that's actually what might have caught him in the early rounds. One of those, but I just remember watching that fight, and he was rocking Jones here and there, but then you would see his knees buckle as he would try to rush, and it would mess him up. But anywho, he's back. He's back from these injuries. He's got his knees fixed.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can come in here and remind everyone.
I think that's what's going to happen.
I think he needs to remind everyone of who Thiago Santos is. And if you recall, I'm pretty sure Thiago Santos beat Jan Blachowicz at 185 pounds. So, if Jan can keep that title and Santos can win his fight, that seems like a no-brainer right there. Luis Santos versus Jan Blachowicz for the 205 title if they both are victorious.
Yeah, because I'm looking at this, what's his name, Rakic?
Yeah.
I'm looking at his last 3 fights, and he's pretty much did the rite of passage that everyone does in that division by going through Jimmy Manuwa, Ozdemir, and Smith.
Yep.
So it's perfect that Santos is the last one in line.
And that Jimmy Manuwa fight was his debut in the UFC, and I'm pretty sure that's what put him on the radar, because Jimmy Manuwa was this good contender, knocking dudes out. He's he's one of those guys. He's either going to knock you out or he's going to get knocked out because he's that tough of a guy. And in that fight, he got knocked out. Alexander Rakic came in as a no-name, fought Jimmy Manuwa, and I remember he put him out bad. And I was like, okay, this guy's got some potential. But then he goes and has a snoozer against Anthony Smith and Ozdemir. But it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do when you're in the UFC to win these fights, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other names on there you want to talk about? How about your boy Dominic Cruz finally making his long-awaited comeback into the cage?
And then
22-3. He's fighting Casey Kenny. This is the first time he's fighting that hasn't been for a title in a long time.
Yeah.
and he's on the prelims, which is something he's not used to.
Yes.
Do you think he's victorious? Do you think he still has a run in him? Do you think his time's up? Do you think he's too old? Do you think he's too injured? What's up?
Well, his last fight was against Cejudo, correct?
Yes. It was the famous Keith Peterson.
Yeah.
Smelled like cigarettes and booze. That's why I lost. He didn't do his job right.
Well, I feel like the stoppage, he probably should have let it go on a little bit more, but Dominic Reyes wasn't doing much. So
yeah,
I really didn't care.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this fight, I don't know the guy he's going against, but Dominic is getting up there in age. He's been through the wars. He's been through a lot. He's got this herky-jerky style that is
That's why
not
he gets
very
injured.
Fundamental at all.
That's why he gets injured so much. Think about it. His herky-jerky style, and he's always cutting these crazy angles, you know.
Yeah.
But he missed how many years of his career with multiple ACL and MCL injuries and popped ligaments in his knees and plantar fasciitis in his feet, and it seems like he kind of did all this to himself with this crazy movement. It worked for a while when he was early years in the UFC, early years in WEC, but I feel as though, like you said, man, all that crazy, unorthodox, unconventional movement ended up kind of stabbing him in the back.
Yeah. He just, to me, he's like a more energized Keith Jardine. Because that guy had some sloppy ass stand.
You are so right. I've never heard somebody compare them, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah, the weird duck in and then wing a kick.
Yeah, like
weird.
You're very right. That's a good comparison because Keith Jardine was very awkward in that way. He knocked out Chuck Liddell doing that shit.
We don't got to bring that up. Don't. Chuck got knocked out probably a lot of times after the Rashad, so I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it should have never happened. But
I think he's gonna win this one, but it's gonna be a very contested decision.
All right, I agree. I think Casey Kinney has potential to beat him because he is a young up-and-comer. He has been active. Dominic, like you said, he's a little older. He hasn't been very active. We know he has history of injuries. But with that said, his only 3 losses, 22-3, Dominic Cruz, his only 3 losses all came in title fights. So he only loses to champions. You got to take that into consideration. He's one of these guys, he's literally undefeated if it's not a crazy champion that deserves to beat him. So to say he's going to lose this match is just statistically incorrect.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe age is catching up with the man.
Touche. Another huge prospect out of alpha male, Song Yadong. I don't know if you've ever seen him fight before, but this kid has power like I've never seen. And he's only 21, 22 years old. He's already 16-4-1 and 1. He has a crazy experience of a record already, barely 22. But this kid has power, and I remember Uriah Faber hyping him up, saying that we got this guy that's in here going round for round with Cody Garbrandt and Joseph Benavidez and putting them on their ass. And it's this young Asian kid that we've been training. And he finally got into the UFC on Dana White's Contender Series, knocked the dude out, got his contract, had his first fight in the UFC, knocked the dude out, got performance bonus. So that kid, that's a fight to watch. It's definitely a showcase. He's real good. He's a talent.
I'll definitely do my homework on him as soon as we're done here.
You got your boy Joseph Benavidez making a possible 18th run for his flyweight championship. I mean, unfortunately, he's one of these guys that every time he gets to a title fight, he just can't seem to get it done. He's had a lot of title fights, just similar to his mentor in Uriah Faber, who's had a lot of title fights, but just can't seem to get it done. And he's looking for a victory. He's looking to put that Figueiredo devastation behind him, because that's pretty much, you mentioned Benavidez's name. Anybody right now can only think about him being destroyed by Davison twice in a row. So he needs to wipe that slate clean and get a W.
All right, man. Sounds right. Thank guys for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for sticking around and shooting the shit with us. Hopefully you'll come back on and we'll talk more fights next time.
Outro this. You have like 40 seconds. Like the Zoom meeting is going to end in 40 seconds exactly.
Okay. Well, hopefully next time you guys have me on, it could be talking about the pound for pound greatest and great memories of the UFC.
Well, we will. We got you. For me, for John Tanzi, that's Guy Foisy and Nick Sherman. We're bringing you guys Combat Cast this week. Thanks for watching, guys.